What is up? We're going to be talking about the psychology and extreme practicality of framing or reframing. If you're not familiar with what I do, I study psychological theories and proven methods to translate them into practical daily behaviors for you. I like to use examples in the personal training world as it's an easy enough profession to follow along with, and that's what I currently do. So many people have trouble getting others to see their perspective, and even more trouble getting them to agree with this new perspective. If you're able to change their perspective because they now have that belief, they will automatically change their behavior to adjust for it. So if you want them to act differently, what belief do you need to adopt? Let's dive in. A good definition for framing or reframing would be offering a situation with a different view or perspective. So the meaning is also different. The facts stay, but the understanding changes. It will make more sense when we get into specific examples, but first let's talk about why it works. Humans default to prioritize their own subjective perspective over objective reality. What I mean by that is our own perspective is what we adopt as reality, as opposed to the general population and the way that they would view a certain objective or a situation. And so we can probably say, yeah, if 9 out of 10 people view a situation a certain way, that's more likely to be close to reality than the one person who disagrees. When we change a person's understanding, their emotions of said topic also change. Once their emotions have not just been dislodged, but also shifted to fit ours, their objective is in flux and now yearns to align with yours or mine. Whenever I go through and do framing or reframing, I stick to this order. I validate their situation, I implement the bridge phrase, and then I introduce the new meaning. Here are some examples of different types, and then we'll go into examples of what those bridge phrases are. Now, if you're not sure what the validation part of that looks like, I recommend you check out my other video on labeling. So the specific types are going to be outcome, learning, and time. For outcome, a good example would be, I know it hurts, but I'm actually glad you're sore. This means that you're doing things that challenge your body. This means that we're on the right path to increasing your muscle. So this example talks about shifting your perspective from what's happening right now and instead focusing on the outcome of it or what we're working towards. For the learning type, I saw that balance was difficult there. It's actually a good thing that we found out that a close stance is not best for your squat pattern. This means we can confidently settle on a slightly wider stance, which will also give you more balance. So here it's kind of like, instead of seeing a situation as a mistake, it's a learning step. It's something that we figured out, and it's better that they failed once or stumbled once in order to establish what the best thing for them is. And the last type we have is time. I know a 30-second plank is hard now. If we stop today, it will always be hard. If you keep up the same effort you just gave me, in 30 days, that plank is not even going to be a warm up. The time part of this isn't that 30-second plank, it's going to be in 30 days. You give them a deadline, something that they can anchor to their future point of reward or level of competence. Those were the types. Now we're going to move into the openers for the bridge phrases. So these bridge phrases, this is where we start to open up their mind to the possibility that there is an alternative perspective out there that could be more accurate than theirs. So we're going to go through 3 different opening types. There's a couple more than this, but we have a soft opening, a discovery opening, and an identity opening. So for these bridge phrases, we're going to start with the soft. Another way to look at this is, and then you would say your perspective. Another way to look at this is, it's very general. It rolls off the tongue. We hear this in everyday conversation. Another one is, and that kind of gets them curious. What's interesting about this is, and they will wait trying to listen to what you have to say next. The next type is discovery. This one's a little bit difficult, and so it's very niche as to what situation you're in. For personal training, a great option would be, what do you think will be the end result of this discomfort? And it just kind of pulls you back. You're going to be looking at the whole situation, and then they will be looking internally as well, figuring out that they are discovering through this process and through that question what they are going to be enduring for this change and if they really want that change. Because this one is so niche, I'm only going to have one example. If you need more, go ahead and shoot me a message. Best way to contact me right now is on Instagram. The last opener is going to be an identity opener, and I'm going to have 2 examples for this one as well. This is exactly what disciplined people go through. Whenever you say something before people or this type of person, that's going to instill that the type of people that go through that are this type of person. So here we have disciplined people. This is exactly what disciplined people go through. Now, when I hear the phrase disciplined people, I personally want to be in that bucket. I want to be that type of person as well. So I start to make this identity shift. And because I want that, then therefore, I will also adjust my behavior to fit that type of person. Another example is that's the sign of someone who's improving. So this is a great one to work with people that are not seeing the improvement in whatever task they're working hard on. That could be fat loss, that could be building muscle, that could be a number of things. But if you can see that they're down a little bit, what you want to say is, hey, this isn't a long-term feeling. This is the sign of someone who's improving. That's where their body has gotten to a plateau. And right now, we're at that plateau. It's not a bad thing. It's just part of the process. And as always, I have a couple guidelines for success. Now, this first one is going to be really the only one we're focusing on today, but there's going to be a couple subpoints here. And it is simply do not invalidate their experience. Wherever they're at, this reframing has to accompany everything that they've been through. That gets them to the point of where they're at, which is thinking and feeling the way they do. Never tell them that they are directly wrong. And instead, through framing or reframing, it should encompass what they are saying and feeling and thinking. Call to action here because I'm a big fan of not just changing other people's behavior and lives, but also my own. So, talking to you as the listener of this video, person that is maybe taking notes or just listening in the background while they do other things, do not let your own perspective hold you back from progress. In order for you to be an expert on framing and reframing for other people, you first have to find these framing barriers in your own life, and then you can see them in others. Until then, it's really guesswork and you won't feel confident. You're also going to be dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome. And my video on that didn't really say it this clearly, but if you have imposter syndrome, the only way to truly defeat it is to become competent to the point where the product of your efforts and your competence outweighs that feeling of imposter syndrome, and then you know you belong because you're doing such a good job. So you can't skip through a certain process and just pretend to be good at it. With framing and reframing, it's the same thing. You can't skip going through your own framing and reframing barriers, breaking them down, figuring out how to move around them, and expect to be good at doing it for other people. If you're not sure what that would look like for your own life, shoot me a message on Instagram. For the general population, I will say this. Just look for delayed gratification. Anytime you can find a shortcut, don't take that. Remember this video and see if it applies. See if it's holding you back. I hope this helps. I look forward to working on framing and reframing more and more in the future, as it is something that I am incorporating every day into my life. And there are daily habits that I do to make sure that I'm being sincere with it, which is the hardest part about YouTubing in general and being a personal trainer, is just making sure that you're doing what's right for you and for the people that you're around. Thanks for watching.